The morning sky above Seoul was bright and clear when the first ship appeared. It came without warning, without sound, a massive shadow that blocked the sun and turned day into night. Park Tae-ho was drinking his morning coffee at Luna Base when the alarm started screaming. He dropped his cup and ran to the command center, his heart already knowing something terrible had begun. 12 alien dreadnoughts hung above Earth's greatest cities. They were each larger than mountains, dark and covered in strange symbols that glowed with cruel red light. The Dominion Empire had arrived. They had not come to talk. Fleet Marshal Turan stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked down at the blue planet below. He had conquered 47 worlds in his career. This small planet, with its primitive inhabitants, would be number 48. He felt nothing but boredom as he gave the order to broadcast his message. Every screen on Earth flickered. Every radio crackled. A face appeared, gray-skinned and sharp-featured, with eyes like black stones. "Creatures of this world," the alien said, his voice cold and flat. "I am Fleet Marshal Turan of the Dominion Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. Kneel or be erased. You have 1 hour." In Busan, a young woman named Yoon Nari was visiting her parents. She had taken leave from her position as a fighter pilot to spend time with her family. Her father was cooking breakfast when the shadow fell over their neighborhood. They ran outside and looked up at the impossible ship that filled the sky. "What is that?" her mother whispered. Before anyone could answer, beams of golden light shot down from the dreadnought. Where they touched, everything burned. Buildings turned to dust. Streets melted into glass. People simply vanished, leaving nothing behind but shadows burned into the ground. Nara's father grabbed her arm and pushed her toward the shelter entrance across the street. "Run!" he shouted. "Get underground." Behind her, she heard her mother scream. She turned just in time to see the light take them both. One moment her parents were there. The next moment, they were ash drifting in hot wind. Nari fell to her knees. The world became silent. She could not hear the explosions anymore. She could not hear the screaming. All she could hear was her own heartbeat and a voice in her head that said, "Remember this. Remember this forever." Across the world, the same horror repeated itself. In Seoul, millions died in the first 5 minutes. In Tokyo, the harbor boiled as the beams turned seawater to steam. In New York, the Statue of Liberty melted like a candle. In London, Big Ben became a pillar of fire. Admiral Park Tae-ho watched from Luna Base as his home planet burned. He tried to reach his wife. He tried to reach his daughter. The communication channels were full of static and screaming. After an hour, he stopped trying. He knew they were gone. He had felt it in his chest, a cold emptiness that would never go away. Deep underground, in a secret research facility, Dr. Kung Min-ji felt the earth shake above her. Dust fell from the ceiling. Her team of scientists looked at her with fear in their eyes. "What do we do?" one of them asked. Min-ji looked at the weapon designs on her computer screen. Theoretical concepts. Too dangerous to test. Too powerful to exist. She had spent 5 years being told her work could never be used. "We finish what we started," she said quietly. "And then we make them pay for every life they took today." In the ruins of Incheon, General Baek Sunwoo led what remained of his battalion through burning streets. Alien drones flew overhead, hunting survivors. Every few minutes, someone would scream and fall. Sunwoo did not stop moving. He could not stop. There were still people alive who needed saving. He found a group of children hiding in a collapsed school. Their teacher was dead, her body shielding them from falling concrete. Sunwoo carried the smallest child in his arms and led the others through the smoke. 2/3 of his soldiers died protecting those children. He did not forget a single name. Lieutenant Ha Yoonji sat in a hidden communication station and listened to the enemy. The Dominion did not know she was there. They did not bother to encrypt their casual conversations. Why would they? Humanity was nothing to them. Just animals to be slaughtered. She heard Fleet Marshal Turan laughing with his officers. "The creatures die so easily," he said, "like insects under a boot. How many cities should we burn tomorrow?" "I say we make it a game." His officers laughed with him. They placed bets on which human nation would beg for mercy first. They joked about keeping some humans as pets. Youngji recorded everything. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes were dry. She had no more tears left. But she had something else now. She had purpose. 6 hours after the attack began, 47 million humans were dead. The Dominion considered the planet effectively conquered. Tehran sent a message to his emperor. Earth is subdued. Minimal resistance. Preparing for resource extraction. It was wrong. In a bunker beneath the Swiss Alps, the leaders of Earth-surviving nations gathered. They argued about surrender. They argued about terms. They argued about how to save what remained. Then Admiral Park Tae-ho arrived. His uniform was burned. His face was covered in ash. His eyes held something that made everyone in the room fall silent. He played Yunji's recording. The room heard the aliens laughing about their dead. They heard the bets about which cities to destroy. They heard the jokes about human pets. When the recording ended, no one spoke for a long time. Finally, Tae-ho stepped forward. "They think this is over," he said. "They think we will kneel and beg and accept our fate. They have conquered hundreds of worlds this way. They expect us to be the same." He looked around the room at the presidents and generals and ministers who had lost everything. "They're wrong. They made a mistake today. The worst mistake any empire has ever made. They did not just attack us. They united us. Every nation, every soldier, every parent who lost a child, every child who lost a parent, we are one people now, and we have one purpose." His voice grew cold and hard, like iron forged in fire. "We will not surrender. We will not beg. We will not forgive. We will build weapons they cannot imagine. We will find them wherever they hide. And we will teach the galaxy what happens when you make humanity angry." He slammed his fist on the table. "Earth declares war, not to survive.
Oh, to win."
Who stands with me?" Every hand in the room rose. Outside, the alien ships hung in Earth's sky like dark monuments to conquest. Their crews slept peacefully, dreaming of easy victory. They did not know that below them, in the ashes of their attack, something new was being born. Something that would chase them across the stars. Something that would not stop until every last debt was paid in blood. Humanity had stopped being prey. Now, it was something else entirely. 3 months passed after the attack. The Dominion believed Earth was broken. Fleet Marshal Tehran withdrew most of his ships, leaving only 37 vessels to watch over the conquered planet. He sent a report to High Overlord Vekin. The humans are defeated. They hide in their ruins and wait to die. This world is ours. It could not have been more wrong. In the darkness of space, hidden in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon, Admiral Park Tae-ho worked without sleep. The shipyards there had survived because the aliens never knew they existed. Day and night, thousands of workers built new ships. These were not like the old Earth vessels. They were smaller, faster, and filled with hatred. The nations of Earth no longer existed. There were no more borders, no more flags, no more old grudges. The survivors had become one people with one name, human. Scientists from every country shared their secrets. Soldiers from every army trained together. Resources flowed to wherever they were needed most. Dr. Kong Minji finally finished her weapon. She called it the Cascade Warhead. It was small enough to fit on a fighter ship, but powerful enough to tear holes in reality itself. When she tested it on an asteroid, the rock did not explode. It simply stopped existing, pulled into a wound in space that healed itself seconds later. Her assistants stared at the empty space where the asteroid had been. "This is madness," one of them whispered. "We created a weapon that breaks the universe." Minji's face was hard. "They broke our world first. Now we break theirs." Captain Yunari spent those 3 months training pilots. She found them in refugee camps and underground shelters. They were broken people, survivors who had lost everything. She gave them purpose. She gave them skills. She gave them a reason to live. "You are not soldiers," she told them on the first day. "You are hunters. We do not fight to protect. We fight to kill. Every ship you destroy is revenge for someone you loved. Never forget that. Never forgive. Her pilots called themselves the Morning Hawks. They painted the names of their dead on their ships. Some ships had dozens of names. Some had hundreds. Nari's ship had two, her mother and her father. General Beek Sunwoo built an army from ashes. He took farmers who had never held weapons and turned them into soldiers. He took teachers who had watched their students die and gave them the strength to fight. He took orphan teenagers and became the father they had lost. I do not promise you survival, he told his troops. I promise you something better. I promise you the chance to make them pay. Lieutenant Hyunji became the most dangerous person on Earth, though few knew her name. She cracked the Dominion's communication codes in 6 weeks. Their enemies had tried for centuries and failed. Hyunji did it alone in a dark room, fueled by nothing but rage and cold tea. Now she knew everything. She knew where their ships patrolled. She knew what their commanders ate for breakfast. She knew the names of every officer who had laughed while Earth burned. She kept a list. It grew longer every day. Above Earth, the Dominion occupation force grew lazy. Their sensors showed nothing unusual. Their patrols found no resistance. The humans seemed to have accepted their fate. Some officers began requesting transfers to more exciting posts. Watching a dead planet was boring work. They did not see the small ships rising from Earth's dark side. They did not detect the weapons powering up. They did not notice Captain Yoon, Nari's strike force moving through the debris field that had once been Earth's orbital stations. Nari's voice was calm as she spoke to her pilots. Remember the plan. Fast and hard. No mercy. No survivors. Make them remember this day forever. Her finger touched the transmit button. She sent a message to the Dominion fleet on an open channel. Attention, alien vessels. This is Captain Yoon Nari of the United Earth Defense Force. 6 months ago, you came to our home. You killed 47 million of our people. You laughed while our cities burned. You thought we would kneel. She smiled and there was no warmth in it. We did not kneel. We built. We trained. We waited. And now we are here to teach you something your empire has never learned. There are some worlds you should never attack. Some people you should never make angry. Some enemies who will follow you into hell itself. She armed her weapons. You wanted Earth? Come and take it. The Battle of Earth's liberation lasted 11 minutes. The Dominion ships were still scrambling to battle stations when the first Cascade warheads hit. 3 cruisers simply vanished, pulled into wounds in space that swallowed them whole. The remaining ships tried to flee. But Nari's fighters were everywhere, fast and deadly. Cutting through their formations like knives through paper, Admiral Park Tae-ho led the main fleet from the darkness of space. 600 warships, built in secret, crewed by volunteers who had nothing left to lose. They hit the Dominion fleet from behind, trapping them between 2 forces. The aliens sent distress calls. No one answered. Their empire was too far away. They had not expected to need help conquering a primitive world. One by one, the Dominion ships died. Some exploded. Some were torn apart by focused fire. Some were boarded by screaming humans who fought hand-to-hand in the corridors, killing every alien they found. When it was over, 37 Dominion warships drifted as burning wreckage in Earth's orbit. There were no survivors. Humanity had not come to take prisoners. They had come to send a message. Admiral Tae-ho stood on his bridge and looked at the freed sky of Earth. Tears ran down his face, but his voice was steady. Lieutenant Yoonji, broadcast to the galaxy. All channels. Make sure everyone hears this. Yoonji's fingers flew across her controls. Channel open. Admiral Tae-ho spoke slowly, clearly, so that every species in the galaxy would understand. This is Admiral Park Tae-ho of the United Earth Defense Force. 6 months ago, the Dominion Empire attacked our world without warning. They killed 47 million innocent people. They laughed and called us animals. They thought we would break. He paused. We did not break. We rose, and now we are coming. Not to negotiate, not to find peace, We are coming to tear down your empire piece by piece until there is nothing left. Every world you rule, every ship you fly, every soldier who wears your colors, we will find them all." His voice grew hard. "You should have left us alone. You should have stayed in your corner of the galaxy and forgotten our name. But you did not. And now you will learn what humans do when they have nothing left to lose." He ended the transmission. Across the galaxy, 1,000 species heard his words. Most had never heard of Earth. Most had never met a human. But they all felt something in that message. Something new. Something that made the ancient Dominion Empire suddenly seem very small and very afraid. War had been declared, and humanity was just getting started. 1 year after the attack on Earth, the galaxy learned a new emotion. Fear of humans, the Dominion. Empire had ruled 3,000 star systems for 10,000 years. No one had ever challenged them. No one had ever fought back. Species that resisted were destroyed. Species that surrendered became slaves. This was the way of things. This was the natural order. Then the humans came. They appeared without warning in Dominion space. Small fleets would jump out of nowhere, destroy a military base, and vanish before reinforcements arrived. Supply ships exploded in the void. Patrol vessels disappeared without sending distress signals. Admirals were found dead in their beds, killed by assassins who somehow walked through walls. High Overlord Veckan sat on his throne and tried to understand. His empire had crushed hundreds of rebellions. His generals had conquered countless worlds. But this was different. The humans did not fight like other species. They did not try to hold territory. They did not try to protect themselves. They only came to kill. "Find them," Veckan ordered Fleet Marshal Toran. "Take the full Imperial Armada. 3,000 ships. End this." Toran bowed and left to gather his fleet. He was angry. These primitive creatures had embarrassed him. They had destroyed his occupation force. They had made him look weak. He would burn their entire species for that insult. But Admiral Park Tai-ho had no intention of meeting the Armada in open battle. He knew his fleet was outnumbered 5-1. He knew the Dominion had more ships, more resources, more soldiers. But they did not have what humanity had, a rage that burned hotter than any star. "We do not fight their war," Tai-ho told his commanders. "We fight ours. They want to crush us in one big battle. We deny them that. We hit them everywhere. We make them bleed from 1,000 cuts. We never let them rest." Captain Yoon Nari led her Morning Hawks deeper into enemy territory than any human had ever gone. They struck at supply convoys that fed the Armada. They destroyed fuel depots that powered Dominion ships. Every mission cost them pilots. Every mission hurt the enemy more. After one raid, Nari counted her losses. 12 pilots dead. 12 friends she would never see again. She walked to her ship and added their names to the growing list painted on its hull. One of her younger pilots found her there. He was barely 20, a boy who had watched his entire family die in the first attack. "How do you keep going?" He asked. "How do you not break?" Nari touched the names on her ship. "Because they are watching. Everyone we lost. They are watching to see if we give up, and I will not let them see me quit." The boy nodded slowly. He walked to his own ship and began painting names. General Baek Sunwoo took his soldiers to worlds the Dominion had conquered centuries ago. He found species that had been slaves for generations who had forgotten what freedom felt like. He gave them weapons. He gave them training. Most importantly, he gave them hope. "The Dominion told you that resistance was impossible," he said to the leaders of one such world. "They lied. Look at us. We are human. They attacked our home 1 year ago. Now they fear us. You can be free. Join us, and we will help you take back what they stole." Many joined. They had been waiting their whole lives for someone to fight back. Now someone finally was. Dr. Kong Minji created something new, the Singularity Engine. A ship equipped with it could create a small black hole, powerful enough to swallow an entire Dominion dreadnought. But there was a cost. The ship that created the black hole would be pulled in as well. It was a weapon of suicide. When she presented it to Admiral Taiho, he was silent for a long time. "You are asking our people to die," he said. Minji met his eyes. "I am giving them a choice. Some of them have nothing left. No family. No hope. Just anger. This lets them turn that anger into something that matters." Volunteers lined up around the planet. So many wanted to fly those ships. So many were ready to trade their lives for victory. Lieutenant Ha Yunji waged a different kind of war. She fed false information to the Dominion Command. She made them see attacks where none existed. She made them miss the real threats. Fleet Marshal Toran chased ghosts across his own empire while human ships struck at targets it left unneft. She also kept her list. Every name of every officer who had hurt Earth, one by one, those names were crossed off. Some died in battle. Some died in their sleep. All of them died knowing that humanity had not forgotten. The galaxy watched this impossible war with growing wonder. The Dominion had seemed eternal, unbeatable, a force of nature that could not be challenged. But the humans were proving that wrong. A species no one had heard of a year ago was bringing an ancient empire to its knees. Ambassador Lyra represented a coalition of neutral species who had always lived in fear of the Dominion. She came to Earth in secret, meeting with Admiral Taiho in a hidden location. "Why are you here?" Taiho asked. "'Cause we want to believe," Lyra said. "For 10,000 years we have bowed to the Dominion. We have accepted their cruelty because we thought there was no other choice. You have shown us that we were wrong. We want to help." Taiho studied her face. "And what do you want in return?" "A galaxy where our children do not have to live in fear. That is all." He extended his hand. She took it. Finally, Fleet Marshal Turan cornered a human fleet in the Velar system. 300. Red Dominion warships surrounded 40 human vessels. Turan smiled as he opened a communication channel. "Admiral Taiho, your little rebellion ends here. Surrender, and I will make your deaths quick." Taiho's voice was calm. "Marshal Turan, I want you to know something. You burned my city. You killed my wife and daughter. I have spent every day since then imagining this moment." Turan laughed. "What moment? The moment you die? No. The moment you realize you have already lost. Look behind you." Turan's smile faded. His sensors screamed warnings. 600 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel behind his fleet. The 40 ships he had trapped were bait, and he had taken it. The Battle of Velor was the largest space battle in galactic history. When it ended, a third of the Dominion military was destroyed. Fleet Marshal Turan's flagship drifted powerless in space. He was pulled from the wreckage alive. Admiral Taiho looked at his enemy for the first time. Turan was smaller than he had imagined. Just a gray-skinned creature with fear in his black eyes. "You are my gift to the families of the 47 million, Taiho said. "They will decide what happens to you." He turned and walked away. Leaving Turan screaming in his chains, the message to the galaxy was simple. The hunt continues. 2 years after the attack on Earth, the Dominion Empire began to die. High Overlord Veckan had ruled for 3 centuries. He had crushed rebellions. He had conquered worlds. He had made entire species bow before his throne. But he had never felt fear until the humans came. His empire was falling apart. Subject species that had been slaves for generations saw what humanity was doing and found their courage. Rebellions broke out on 100 worlds. His fleets were spread thin, trying to hold territory while fighting an enemy that struck from shadows and vanished into darkness. "They are everywhere," his generals reported. "We cannot predict their attacks. We cannot catch their ships. Every time we send forces to one location, they appear somewhere else." Veckan sat on his throne and felt something cold crawling in his chest. He had built his power on fear. Now he understood what it felt like to be the one who was afraid. He made a decision. He would send his son to negotiate. Prince Dethros was young and clever. Perhaps he could find a way to end this war before it destroyed everything. Dethros met Captain Yoon, Nari, at a neutral space station. He expected a barbarian, a primitive savage driven by blind rage. What he found was something far more terrifying. Nari sat across from him in simple clothes, her hands folded calmly on the table. She spoke 3 languages fluently. She quoted philosophy. She explained the history of human warfare with the patience of a teacher. And she described exactly how humanity would dismantle everything his family had built. "Your empire is dying," she said, "not because we are stronger, not because we have better weapons, but because you've built your power on cruelty, and cruelty always falls in the end. You made slaves of 100 species. Now those species see that you can be hurt, and they want revenge as much as we do." Petros tried to find words. "What do you want?" "Territory, resources, tribute. Name your price." Nari smiled, and there was no warmth in it. "We do not want your worlds. We do not want your money. We want the Dominion to stop existing as a military power. Forever. We want every weapon destroyed, every warship broken apart, every species you conquered set free. And we want your father to face justice for what he did to Earth." "That is impossible," Dethros said. "The Empire would never accept such terms." "Then the Empire will burn." Nari stood. "You came here hoping to negotiate. I came here to tell you what is going to happen. The only choice you have is how many of your people die before you accept it." She walked away. Leaving the prince alone with his thoughts, Dethros returned home and told his father what the human had said. Veckan listened in silence, his claws gripping his throne so tight that the metal bent. "They are mad," he finally said. "They would destroy us completely." Father Dethros said carefully, "Perhaps we should consider—" "No." Veckan's voice was hard. "I will not surrender to animals. I will not be remembered as the overlord who bowed to primitive creatures from a worthless world. If they want total war, I will give them total war." He revealed his final secret, a doomsday weapon hidden in the capital system, a device that could destroy stars. He had built it centuries ago as insurance against enemies who might threaten his throne. "If I fall," Veckan declared, "I will take their sun with me. Their Earth will freeze in darkness. Every human will die. This is my answer to their ultimatum." Admiral Park Taiho learned of the weapon from Lieutenant Hyungji. She had spent months inside the Dominion's computer systems, reading their secrets, learning their fears. The doomsday device was real. If the war pushed Veckan too far, he would use it. "Can you stop it?" Taiho asked. Yunji's smile was cold. "I have been working on that for 6 months. The weapon needs a specific code sequence to activate. I have been slowly corrupting that code piece by piece. When Veckan tries to fire it, nothing will happen." "You're sure?" "Admiral, I have not slept more than 4 hours a night since the attack. I have given everything to this war." "Yes, I am sure." Taiho nodded slowly. "Then we end this. Prepare the fleet." Operation Final Dawn was the largest military operation in human history. 12 Dominion core worlds were attacked simultaneously, not to destroy them, but to show that they could be reached. Dominion citizens saw human ships in their skies for the first time. They saw the enemy their leaders had promised was already defeated. General Baek Sunwoo landed on 3 of those worlds. His soldiers did not come as conquerors. They came as liberators, freeing slave species, distributing food and medicine. When Dominion civilians expected execution, they received kindness. "This is how we prove we are different," Sunwoo told his troops. "We do not become the monsters we fought. We show them a better way." His reputation spread. The slaves called him the Stone General because nothing could break him. The Dominion called him something worse. They called him the beginning of the end. Dr. Kang Mingi was invited to speak at the Galactic Assembly. It's a gathering of species that had watched Earth burn and done nothing. They wanted her weapons. They wanted her secrets. They wanted the power humanity had gained. She stood before them in a simple uniform, her face showing nothing. "You watched us die," she said. "When the Dominion attacked, you did nothing. When we asked for help, you looked away. Now you want what we have built. Why should we share it with you?" The assembly was silent. I will tell you why, Minji continued. Because we are not like you. We do not hoard power. We do not abandon the weak. We share what we have because that is what makes us human. But know this. These weapons exist because we needed them to survive. I will not give the galaxy new ways to kill. I will give you the means to protect yourselves, nothing more. Ambassador Lyra addressed the assembly after Minji sat down. You wanted to know what humans are, she said. Now you know. They are what we should have been. They fight not for power, but for the right to exist. And when they win, they will not enslave their enemies. They will free them. Perhaps we do not deserve their help, but they will give it anyway, because they are better than us. The Galactic Assembly voted to join humanity's cause. 27 species, with hundreds of worlds, united against the Dominion for the first time in history. Admiral Taiho received the news on his bridge. Outside the window, the combined fleet of humans and allies assembled. Larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen, he opened a channel to all ships. This is Admiral Park Taiho. 2 years ago, they came to our home and tried to erase us. They failed. Tomorrow, we go to their home. We end this. For everyone they killed. For every species they enslaved. For the future we will build when this is over. He paused. Set course for Dominion. Prime. The fleet jumped to light speed. The final battle was coming. The sky above Dominion Prime burned with the light of 1,000 ships. Admiral Park Taiho stood on his bridge and watched the final battle begin. Ig. HT-100 Dominion warships defended their homeworld. The last great fleet of an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Against them came the United Fleet. Human and alien ships flying together. More than 1,000 vessels united by hatred of tyranny. High Overlord Veckan broadcast his final threat to the galaxy. If I fall, I will take Earth's sun with me. My weapon is armed and aimed. Attack me, and every human dies. Taiho's response was calm. You think death frightens us? We have been dying since you first attacked. Every human in this fleet has already said goodbye to everyone they love. We did not come here to survive. We came here to make sure no one else suffers what we suffered. The fleets crashed together like waves of fire. It was brutal. Ships exploded in flashes of light that could be seen from the planet's surface. Human vessels rammed Dominion dreadnoughts when their weapons failed. Pilots ejected into enemy hangar bays with nothing but rifles and grenades. Fighting hand-to-hand in corridors filled with smoke and screaming, Captain Yoon, Nari, led her Morning Hawks through the chaos. They had one mission: reach the capital station and disable the doomsday weapon. Everything else was a distraction. Her pilots fell around her. Ships she had trained with for 2 years exploded into debris. Friends she had laughed with and cried with died in flashes of golden light. She did not stop. She could not stop. The mission was all that mattered. By the time she reached the station, only 3 of her pilots remained. They fought through the docking bay, through corridors filled with the Overlord's elite guards, through rooms where her companions fell one by one. She reached the weapons control room alone. Bleeding from wounds she could not count. High Overlord Veckan was waiting for her. He was larger than she expected. His gray skin covered in ceremonial armor, his black eyes filled with ancient hatred. His claw rested on the activation switch. "One step closer," he said, "and your son dies." Nari did not stop walking, then press it. In 3 centuries of rule, he had watched countless enemies beg for mercy at the end. He had seen species grovel and plead and offer anything to save themselves. This human woman, bleeding and broken, walked toward certain death with a smile on her face. "Why?" he asked. "Why are you not afraid?" Nari stopped in front of him, close enough to see her own reflection in his dark eyes. "Because even if you kill our son, you are still going to die in this room. And I am going to be the one who kills you. My family is waiting for me on the other side. Yours will be alone." The Khan's claw moved. He pressed the switch. Nothing happened. Lieutenant Hyunji's voice crackled over Nari's communicator. Tired but triumphant. "Did you really think I would let him keep a working doomsday weapon? I have been in their systems for 6 months. That thing has been broken since Tuesday. Nari moved. She was faster than Veccan expected. Her fists connected with his throat before he could raise his claws. He stumbled back, choking, and she was on him, striking again and again with all the rage of 2 years of war. She thought of her mother, turning to ash and golden light. She thought of her father, pushing her toward the shelter. She thought of 47 million humans who would never see this moment. When it was over, Overlord Veccan lay dead at her feet. She stood over his body, breathing hard, and felt something she had not felt since the day of the attack. Peace. Outside, the battle ended. Prince Deathros broadcast the order for unconditional surrender. The Dominion fleet powered down their weapons and waited for the end. The war was over. Admiral Taiho watched the enemy ships go dark. Tears ran down his face. He had dreamed of this moment for 2 years. He had imagined it would feel like victory. Instead, it felt like exhaustion. "It is done," he said quietly. "We won." General Beek Sunwoo landed on Dominion Prime not as a conqueror, but as a peacemaker. His soldiers distributed food to civilians who expected death. They freed slave species who had served the Empire for generations. They offered medical care to wounded enemy soldiers. "This is how we prove what humanity is," Sunwoo told his troops. "We do not become what we destroyed. We build something better." The soldiers who expected execution received fair trials. The civilians who feared genocide received aid. The slaves who had known nothing but chains learned what freedom felt like. Dr. Kong. Minji stood before the new Galactic Assembly, rebuilt with Earth as a founding member. They looked to her for guidance. They expected demands. They expected humanity to take control. She disappointed them. "We do not want your systems," she said. "We do not want to rule. We want one thing, a galaxy where what happened to Earth can never happen again, where the strong protects the weak instead of crushing them, where children do not have to watch their parents burn. Help us build that future, or stay out of our way while we build it without you." The galaxy chose to help. 5 years after the attack on Earth, the planet was healing. New cities rose from the ashes, designed by human and alien architects working together. The memorial in rebuilt Seoul held 47 million names, a reminder of what had been lost and what had been gained. Admiral Park Taiho retired to a small house near that memorial. Captain Yoon Nari visited him often. They did not talk about the war. They planted a garden instead. Watching new life grow from soil that had once been burned, Lieutenant Ha Yunji became the head of Galactic Intelligence. Using her skills to protect instead of destroy, Dr. Kong Minji led a new scientific council, sharing human knowledge with species who wanted to learn. General Beek Sunwoo traveled the galaxy, helping rebuild worlds that the Dominion had broken. Ambassador Lyra recorded her observations for future historians. "The humans did not simply win a war," she wrote. "They changed what war means. They fought not for power, but for the right to exist without fear. And when they won, they did not enslave their enemies. They freed them. The galaxy feared what humanity would become. We were afraid of the wrong thing. We should have been afraid of what we were and hopeful for what they might make us." A young girl, orphaned in the attack and adopted by General Sunwoo, asked him a question one quiet evening as they looked at the stars. "Why did humans fight so hard when everyone said we would lose?" Sunwoo smiled and put his arm around her shoulders. "Because no one told us we were supposed to lose. And even if they had, we would not have listened." Above them, the stars shone bright and peaceful. The galaxy was healing. The Dominion was gone. And humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as something new. They had become the protectors of a galaxy that had once abandoned them, and they would never let anyone forget what that meant.